to have you all here joined here to attend the last day of FDP. Before we start off the session, I would like to inform about your participation of certificates. Dear participants, all your certificates will be issued in next 1 week. Thanks in advance for your understanding. To begin our final day, let's seek blessing from Almighty. Let's pray. God, our Almighty, we thank you and praise you for undertaking the last 4 days of FDP. Thank you for your blessings, Lord, as we gather here for our final day of FDP. Let your presence be with us, guide us, and lead us. Bless all our participants and resource person. Above all, your name alone be glorified. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Thank you all. So next, moving on to introduction about the resource person. To give a brief introduction, now I call upon Mr. Sakifa Siddiqa, Assistant Professor, Department of Corporate Secretaryship.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my privilege to welcome our esteemed resource person today. He is here with us, Dr. Nimson Rio Robert. I welcome you, sir. Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I can hear. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We look forward for gaining valuable insight and inspiration from your session. To start with, he is right now working as an assistant professor in Christ University, Bangalore, and his research interests are in Internet of Things, mobile ad hocs, networks, other wireless related technologies. He has published and presented many papers, more than 30 papers in national and international conference, published 8 patents, and he has been awarded as a junior research fellow and senior research fellow by University Grant Commission. And he has received minor projects from Indian Council of Social Science, ICSSR, by Government of India. He has completed 2 consultancy projects from the private organization, technical committee member and chairman. He has been as a technical committee member and chairman for various international conferences. He has been resource person for various lectures and workshops. He has conducted workshops in drone technologies and wireless technologies. We welcome you again, sir. I
Thank you,
hand
ma'am.
over this
Thank you.
session to him.
Uh, Hope am I audible, ma'am?
Yes,
Let
sir,
me
you are
share
audible,
the
sir.
screen. Yes. Hope even is my screen visible, ma'am. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir, it's visible.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so very good afternoon to all of you. I know it's a hectic time for all of us because after having a heavy lunch, it's very difficult to sit and listen for the next 1 hour session. I hope I will not bore you. Maybe in between we'll have some interaction session also. Just take you to the presentation. Maybe it's not just like a seminar. Maybe we can have some interaction in between also. In case if you have any question, maybe you just make a note. At the end of the session, you can put it in the chat. Or I'll be taking up all your questions. And once again, thank you so much for your warm welcome. And I think this is a very last minute confirmation because yesterday only I got to know that I supposed to present something on this. Because I had a very good session day before one of the institutions from Chennai also. I got an interaction with the scholars of social work department where I was presenting about AI tools for research. I think this will be a warm-up session for me as well to give you some insights on publishing the research article. Because when I heard about this title, really, literally, I'm happy with that. I can go ahead with this title to give you more and more insights on how to identify a reputed journal. I think now all the institutions insisting the papers to get published in a highly reputed journal, such as Q1, Q2, and Q3, Q4 as well. I think most of the institution also putting an pressure that for all of the teachers as for all the academicians that you are expected to publish your papers in the highly reputed journal like IEEE, Springer, all these things. I hope this session will give you little bit of insights. Maybe it's like a tips for you how to publish a good quality of the research article and how you can publish your research article in a highly reputed journal. I think this session is not just as part of your academic achievement. I think this session will maybe give you some insights related to this, how you can write a quality of research publication and how you can publish it in a reputed journal. So here we'll go with this title. I'll be just talking about the title, improving your research work impact. So I'll be just sharing my tips because I have been working with this research area for the last 10 years. So as far as I know, I'll be sharing my experience with this journal publishing in a highly reputed journal. Because now, especially for the scholars who have enrolled for full-time and as well as for those who have been doing PhD in part-time mode also, I think now most of the state university also insisting the people to publish a paper in a highly reputed journal. So even if you publish in another non-reputed journal, I think it won't be accepted by the universities. So now we are in the process of writing the papers as well as it should be accepted by the most of the state university as well as for the private university. Okay, so what we'll be discussing in this 1 hour session is that I'll be just briefing about what is that thing you should know before you write a paper and before you going for publish a paper. So I'll be just talking about you should understand the journal requirements because many journals will be seeking the certain prerequisite. What are the things should be there before you submit a paper into a journal? So I'll be just talking about understanding journal requirements. Also, I'll be giving you some overview about how to craft a quality manuscripts because everybody writes a manuscript, but here we'll be discussing about what are the ways that we can improve the quality of the manuscript so that your article will be easily getting accepted. Also, I'll be just talking about the effective writing techniques. So what are the ways, what are the tools can be used for making your paper into a good quality paper. So I'll be just talking on this and followed by I'll be giving you some ethical guidelines also because this is inevitable. I think it's common guidelines we should follow for all the uh, journal publications. So I'll be just giving you some ethical guidelines, what and all we should follow before we submit a paper into a journal. And finally, I'll be just talking about how do we keep track of the submission process. Once you submit the paper into a journal, so we'll forget about that, few of the people. But I'll be just giving you some guidelines. How do we keep track of all these things once the paper is submitted into a journal? So I'll be just taking you to the maybe in case if you are asking any doubts in the chat. Now I cannot see. In case if I'm not audible, please organizer, please let me know because I'm presenting in full screen mode, so I can't see the chat bot.
So you're audible, sir. You're audible, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so let's first understand the journal requirements. I think this session is not to the specific people. Maybe the people from different institution who might have joined, the people may be from computer science discipline, maybe social work, maybe Tamil, English literature department also. I'll be just giving you some common requirements. I mean, certain requirements, what journal expect that before you go for the, before you go for going for the publication into this. I think most of the people would fail when they are publishing paper into a journal. Let's say, for example, since I am from computer science department, I need to see that what is that scope and aim of the particular journal. Let's say, for example, the computer science people used to publish a paper in IEEE, Spring and elsewhere, this kind of journals. So whatever the journal it might be, you should see the scope and aim of your journal, what in which journal you are going to publish. So why I'm telling about this scope and aims of your journal, every journal will have their scope and aims. It's like a vision and mission statement, right? So whatever the paper you submit, let's say, for example, since I'm working in the Internet of Things, so I need to focus on the journals which are related to the Internet of Things. So similarly, whatever the work, whatever the problem statement that you have chosen, so according to the domain, you can select your journal also. I think that will be the uh, good criteria for choosing the journal. So why? Because when you are submitting the paper into a journal, they might be looking into your abstract part. Maybe they might be looking into your domain part. In case if it is not falling with the domain, if they are not falling with the scope of their journal, so they will be simply rejecting it in the screening stage itself. So it's always better to identify the scope and aim of the particular journal. Otherwise, what happens in case if you are submitting a paper into a Q1, Q2 journal, maybe the Q1, Q2 journal may take a lot of time to proceed your paper to the next level, because there will be a double-blind process review. So in just to pass your paper to the second level review, they will take minimum of 3 to 4 months. So I think you'll be wasting your time in case if you're not identifying your journal correctly. So that is why I'm just suggesting you that just identify the scope and aim of your journal, so that the process will be very easier, so that your paper also will be getting accepted maybe to the next level. So that is the first point I just wanted to talk. And the second point is that it's an impact factor consideration. I think many programs, many PhD programs, including computer science and other discipline program, every journal will be having this impact factor consideration. Maybe you would have seen on the journal website itself, the impact factor also would have been mentioned very clearly. Maybe in some journals you would have seen the impact factor might be mentioned with a 1 point, 2 point, 3 point like this. But please do not fall into the predatory journal or cloned kind of journal. I just talk about this predatory and then cloned journal because now UGC has given clear guidance. How do you identify the clone journal and then predatory journal while you publishing your article into this? Because many of the journals will be claiming that our journal has a highest impact factor. Even sometimes you would have noticed that before you submit a paper into any of the journals, in case if it is not a reputed journal, you would have noticed that it would be mentioned with a 7.9 point also. So no journal claims that this much kind of impact factor consideration. So please keep in mind that while you're publishing the papers, you should review the impact factor consideration. Maybe you need to check in the journal finder website. I'll show you what are the ways to check it. So that you'll be in safer side before you publish the paper also. Because when you are trying to publish a paper in the predatory journal or cloned journal, who claims which the journal has high impact factor, then maybe this paper will not be accepted by the universities. So these 2 points we should keep in mind. One is that scope and aim and the impact factor consideration. So that is the main thing we should understand the requirements before we go for publishing the papers. And a few things I just wanted to talk here, analyzing the submission guidelines. So I think everybody writes a paper, and some paper may not have the quality which is expected by the journal. So we should have all these requirements before we submit to the journals, whatever the journal it might be. One thing is that the first point is I'll be just talking about formatting requirements. So every journal will have their unique format. Let's say, for example, if you want to publish your paper in IEEE transaction, maybe in Springer, maybe in other journals like Elsevier, okay, so you need to check the formatting requirements very meticulously, because all the journals will not have the same formatting. So every journal will be having their own formatting option. Let's say, for example, if you're publishing a paper in IEEE, okay, so you need to make it as a double column. So what usually people will do this, they will be submitting the paper in double column. Maybe when they are submitting into other journal like Springer, maybe Tyler and Francis, the editorial board, in the first stage itself, they'll be rejecting it without looking at your work, what you have done in the paper. So because the formatting is very important, so that you should keep in mind what are the format that you're going to implement with your research article. And the second point, I'll be just talking about the word count limits. Some journals would expect that your full length paper should be restricted to within the maximum count. Maybe let's say, for example, if journal is expecting that your full length article should be maximum of 6,000 words or maybe 10,000 words. Okay, so you should see, in case if they have given restriction, you should maintain the constraints of all these things. So you should maintain the maximum number of words, and in case if the journal is asking for minimum words also, it's author responsibility. You should take care of all those things. But most of the journal will not ask this, but certain journals are there who will ask about the word count limits also. So because when they are checking in their software, in case if it is exceeding the number of words, in case minimum and maximum number of words also, they'll be sending yours back. So you need to modify it again, and then you'll be submitting it back. So that is wasting your time as well. And the third point, which I want to talk about, it's a reference style. I think most of your paper might be looking with the quality of your research. I mean, will be with the quality of work that you have done with your research work. But it fails when you are adding the reference in the final section of your paper, because most of the researcher doesn't follow this reference style. Maybe I think you would have done this referencing section as per the policy AP and then MLA and then Chicago kind of reference style. I think most of the journals will be expecting these two format, APA and then MLA. So these two formats should be used correctly, precisely while you submitting the paper in the reference section. So these three things you should keep in mind while you submitting the papers into the journal. Okay, so I hope it's clear for understanding the requirements. So these are the basic things we should understand before we get into the, before we write a paper into the journal. Okay, and I just give you the other tips. How do you draft the quality manuscripts? Okay, so now people do write paper, people do publishing the paper also in a journal, but it's not in a highly reputed journal. Let's say, for example, you might have seen a journal where they'll be asking some amount of money from the authors. And let's say, for example, if I'm being the owner of the journal, if I'm being the editorial of the journal, I may ask you money of rupees 10,000 so that I can give you the assurance that also I can review your paper within 1 day, and then I can accept the papers. Okay, I think now this has become a very commercial also everywhere. Maybe the people are giving the money just to write the paper, and then getting published is easily also. So I just give you some tips. How do you enhance the quality of your manuscript? Okay, so let's say, for example, when you are writing a paper, starting from the title page to reference section, each and every line should be on your own words. Okay, maybe nowadays we have been using all the AI tools for writing it also, but it's better to rewrite, and it's better to rephrase all the contents, whatever you are writing, whatever the contents you are taking from the external resources also. Okay, so please make sure that when you are writing a paper, let's say, for example, when you are writing a paper in the abstract part, this abstract and keywords should be very precise. Okay, because in most of the articles you might have noticed also, abstract might not be clear to the people when the people are reading your paper. Okay, so this abstract should give precise information, what information that you are trying to give in the paper. Let's say, for example, in the abstract, you should talk about the domain which you have chosen as part of your research work, and then you should give the existing and then proposed work, what you have done in this paper, and then maybe in 1 or 2 lines you can just mention about that, what you are trying to achieve through this research article. So only this much precise information. You should give some crisp information in the abstract part itself. Also, you need to give some exact keywords which are related to the domain which you have identified. Because why the keyword is important? Once the paper is getting published in the internet, maybe in the journal, it might be indexed in different databases like Scopus, Web of Science, PubMed, such kind of databases. When the other researchers are trying to take your papers, they'll be searching with a keyword. Okay, so that your paper will be getting highlighted on the first page itself, so that you will be getting more citation on this. So that is the reason we should be very careful in grafting this abstract and then keyword. And also in the second one is about introduction and objectives. So you should be very aware that what are the contents that you are going to write in the introduction. So this introduction part should be should give very clear information, and you should have some objective also. Okay, so while you're writing the introduction also, you should not have clumsy of information. You should give very crisp information according to the problem statement which you have chosen, and you should set up some objectives as well. Okay, so because based on the objectives only, you'll be writing this methodology and everything, even when you're going for resultant discussion. So that is also very important. And the third one is about methodology and analysis. So this methodology and analysis also one of the important section of your paper, because where you will be proving that your proposed algorithm or proposed technique is outperforms on the existing model. So these three should be very clear when you are structuring the manuscript. Okay, and I just give you the way of writing the papers also. So what are the effective way for writing the papers also? One is that always you should choose the journal. I think we already discussed about it. You should look into the journal. What is the scope and aim of the journal? Even if you have done this, even if you have structured your manuscripts, whatever the points we have discussed earlier, you should proofread your document, and then you should edit your document in a nice way. Let's say, for example, when you are choosing a journal, it is mandatory to check that whether the journals follows the double blind review process. You might be knowing the difference between single blind review and then double blind review process. Okay, so every journal will have this review process in terms of single blind and then double blind process. Okay, because once you submit the paper, let's say for example, once you written the article with all the structured formatting, everything, and when it goes for review, they may find there is a chance of grammatical mistakes with your paper. So this grammatical issue also, which in turn to the rejection of the paper. So it is better to ensure that before you are submitting a paper, please just check with the professional editing services, maybe the purposes who is in the English department. So usually they will be doing all this proofreading document. I think there is a service for this also, for proofreading your document, all these things. Okay, even in the when you are looking at the AI perspective, I think there is a tool called Grammarly Check. Okay, so I think in case if you are using your institution ID, you can check it for free without any cost also. So this peer review process and this professional services also will give you a lot of information. I mean, it's just giving you the idea to craft your paper into the quality paper. Okay, so you should let's say for example, since I'm from computer science background, so I may have some colleagues who is expert in the particular field. Because now, as of now, since I'm working on the drone technology, I may give the work to the people, those who are working in the drone technology, and then they may look into the work which I have done technically, and then they may suggest something also. So their constructive feedback may help, and may help me to improve the quality of the research article. So always it is better to do the peer review process. Okay, maybe once you return the paper, you might be giving to your supervisor. Maybe in case of the supervisor also not expert in the field of the particular domain, they may give it to their colleagues and checking for the quality of your manuscript. So this is how there is high chances of getting accepted of your research papers. So this thing we should keep in mind. So that is the one thing, and we should follow some ethical guidelines also. So what are the ethical guidelines we should follow is that one is that you should take care of the data privacy, and second one is about we should look into the research integrity also. So what do you mean by data privacy is that, let's say for example, in case if any scholars from the arts and humanities, so there may be the scholars who might be going for the data collection. Let's say for example, in case if I'm working on the area for disaster management related activities. So I need to take the survey of this, whether the people are aware about all these things. Okay, so while you're going for this data collection, when you're going for field work, so you should take care of this data privacy, because your data is very confidential. It should not be shared with anyone also. Even sometimes we would have heard about a lot of issue, even your research community also. Let's say, for example, if one scholar might have chosen the problem statement, maybe the same problem statement might be taken from other same student. I mean, other students would have taken the same problem statement, and then they would be implementing uh, they would be implementing the information into it. Like, they are trying to fabricate the information, and then they are trying to modify your results, whatever you have done. So your data privacy should be it should be kept very confidentially, and it should not be shared with everyone also. Because what happens, there are a few journals which ask you to submit the journals into the predatory or cloned journal. I think University Grant Commission also has given these guidelines. Before you submit a paper into any journal, it is always your responsibility to check that whether the uh, particular journal is indexed in Scopus or Web of Science. Because some journals trying to fabricate that, they'll be claiming that they are the original editorial board of the particular journal. Okay, so it's always better to check in their respective database whether this journal is falling under the particular database or not. Okay, as well as the second point which I want to talk about is research integrity. So here, I don't know how many of us will be following all these ethical guidelines while we doing research also. Because some cases, what happens when you are writing a paper and when you are submitting it to a journal, okay, so there is a chances of high rejection rate. What do you mean by high rejection rate is that sometimes the people would have modified the results. Let's say, for example, I want to prove that my research work outperforms on the existing model. So what I'll be doing, I'll be taking the existing model and then I'll be trying to fabricate some values, and I'll be proving that my proposed algorithm is much better than the existing. So this is a not way of doing the research. So the research integrity is important. It should be very transparency also, whether it is a um, irrespective of any domain. I mean, irrespective of any programs, whether it is computer science or social work or Tamil, English, whatever it may be. Okay, so always you should ensure that whatever the domain that you have chosen for your research work, whatever the research gap that you have identified, so you should ensure that whether it's following the research integrity while you implementing the methods and the results. So these two ethical guidelines we should follow also. Okay, and two important things. I think you might be aware about all these things. The two important points you will be making a note. One is about the plagiarism, and one is about the fabrication and then falsification. I think everybody might be aware about what is plagiarism. There is a two types of plagiarism. One is that self-plagiarism, and other type of plagiarism is that taking the content, taking the idea from the other's work. Okay, so I think these two are very important when you are writing the research work and when you are implementing the results also. Why this plagiarism is very important? Sometimes you would be saying, for example, before you submit a paper, you would be checking your research article into any one of the tools, such as Turnitin or Authenticate, such kind of tools. Okay, so what happens that this plagiarism will create a uh, chance of getting rejected. I mean, I think most of you might be knowing this, the word retraction. I think every institution now might have received the notice also. The people who have done the plagiarism uh, in inappropriate of way of doing the research, because some people uh, would now not cited the literature properly, and some people would have created some conflict in acknowledgement, maybe in the result part also, so that the particular journal, the specific journal, would have sent the notification to the institution saying that this scholar, maybe this academician, have done retraction in this particular paper in this journal. Okay, so why this is happening? Because of this plagiarism. So I think plagiarism is one of the important keywords we should keep in mind. So it's not, plagiarism is not, but it's not only that you are taking others' works and then you are fabricating some result. Okay, so plagiarism also matter. I mean, plagiarism is a very important thing when you are citing the paper as well as when you are implementing the research work also. Maybe with some tools you need to acknowledge it very clearly. Even in case some of you people would have received funding from other government agencies, in case if you are publishing the paper without acknowledgement of the agency also, it would be considered as a plagiarism, so that your paper will be in the retraction. So what happens when the paper is being in the retraction status? Automatically your paper, even though if your paper is being indexed in Scopus or Web of Science, so the editorial board, I mean the Scopus database people would be uh, rejecting, I mean they'll be revoking this from their database. So I think this will not give you the identity of your that you are academician, maybe the scholars, so that you should take care of it. And the second one which I want to talk about, it's a fabrication and falsification. I think this fabrication and falsification uh, happens when the researcher is trying to implement their idea with some help of some AI tools. Let's say, for example, since we have been working in the Python and other related tools, okay, what student would make a mistake is that just for their customization, they'll be giving some wrong values, and then they'll be claiming that our algorithm is better than the previous work. So what they are trying to do is that basically they are trying to modifying the result, and then they are trying to produce that is a false result. I mean, they are trying to reduce that it's the original result which they have extracted from the Python tool. So I think these two things we should avoid when we are submitting the papers into a journal. Okay, and the next one is about submission and post submission process. So once you have done with this all this process, whatever the points we have discussed so far, so how do we keep track of this submission process? Because I have seen many people also, once they submitted paper, the same paper will be submitted to any other, maybe some other journals also. Okay, so what happens when you are submitting this same paper into other journal? So there is a mail notification you might be received also, some people. Okay, so what happens? You will be in the blacklist in the particular journal. So in case if you are publishing in the highly reputed journal. So in case if you are submitting the next article into their journal, so they may not accept your paper. So the rejections always will be there when you are submitting the paper into two different journals. But how do we ensure that paper is being accepted or being reviewed by the experts? Okay, I just give you the tips what you should do before you go for the submission. Okay, I think most of the journal will not ask this, so through which you'll be able to easily identify whether the journal is predatory or cloned journal also. Even now, University Grant Commission has given list of journals, which are the journals are coming under the predatory and then cloned journal also. So even during my PhD journey, what I have noticed that I tried to publish a paper in a journal. Okay, what happens is that when I clicked on the particular journal, it is redirecting to the original journal. I mean, where they have the authenticity of all this journal. Okay, what happens that when I do click on the journal, it is redirecting to the original journal, but it is not showing in the predatory journal. So it's always better to check the list of journals which is recommended by the University of Commission also. Okay, even I'll share some of the tips. How do you find predatory and then cloned journal also? So here, before you prepare for the submission, you should take care of two things. One is that cover letter and then necessary documentation. So what is that in the cover letter? It's like the formal letter that you are writing to the editorial board, highlighting the significant, the salient feature of your research work. You are trying to justify the work, how this particular research work is for this particular journal. Because even I have seen some people, the people would have done very good manuscript, but sometimes when they are submitting it to the journal, so the journal might reject it. So what is the reason? Because this may not fall under the scope and the aim of the journal, and also the people would be failed to mention the significance of the research work. Okay, so let's say for example, you should talk about in the cover letter. You should not talk about your personal information in the cover letter. You should talk about why this journal publication is important. I mean, why this research work is important. You should highlight what is the significant and who is going to be beneficiary of this research work. So also it's better to connect with some of the SDG related goals also. I think now many of the journals are aligned with the SDG goals. So it's better to connect with any one of the SDG goals. Also, you should talk about who is going to be beneficiary of this work. So in case if you are including all this related information into your publication detail, I think there is a high chances of getting accepted in a Q1, Q2 journal. So this cover letter should be very precise, and it should have the following things also. So you should take care of this research work result and who is going to be benefited of this, and you try to connect with this, how this is being aligned with any one of the SDG goals. So you should mention it very precisely in the cover letter, and then you should send it to the editorial board. Even sometimes the editorial board also would be looking at into the letter. I mean, would be looking into the cover letter very meticulously, and they'll be pre-screening all these things, whether the work has been done truly by the author or they have fabricated something. Okay. So the next thing is the necessary documents. What is that necessary documentation? Is that let's say, for example, some journals would ask you to submit the diagram table separately into their web portal. So I think most of the LCO journal would be asking all these things. So what is expected to be in the necessary documentation? You should take care of this diagram table, and you should have all this documentation as a separate one, and then you should upload it in uh, the particular portal. I mean, in the particular drive also. Okay. So why this necessary documentation is very important? Because one one set of people will be looking at your work technically, and set of editorial board will be looking at this diagram, this table values, and they'll be reviewing it, and then they'll be giving you the constructive feedback in case if the requirements is not meeting up clearly. So this cover letter and this documentation thing should be very clear once you are submitting into the journal. Okay. So now how do we keep track of this information? Is that you should I'm just talking about the how do you keep track of your manuscript once it is submitted. I mean, I'm just talking about the post manuscript submission. Okay. So now let's say, for example, when the quality of manuscript is being submitted to Q and Q2 journal, immediately will not be getting acceptance. Minimum, your journal would take minimum 2 to 3 months for the first decision. It depends upon the journal also, the journal which you are going to submit. Okay. So in case if you are getting a feedback from the reviewer side, so you need to address the comments. So what you need to address in the comment is that, because most of the journal will not give you the review comments, so through which also you'll be able to identify whether it's a good journal or it's not a good journal also. I think many of the good journal will be giving you the constructive feedback to enhance your research quality. Okay. So always it's better to address the comments which is given by the reviewer. Okay. You should justify the answers, whatever the questions raised by the reviewer. Okay, so you should address it very clearly, and then you should make necessary changes wherever it is applicable. And in some cases, you may feel that the justification, whatever you are given, the reviewer may not satisfied with all these things. Then you should make them understand that why it is not important. So in case if you are not given the justification, so whatever the question raised by the reviewer, so it is other responsibility. You should take care of everything. And the second point, we'll be revising the manuscript. So what you will be doing the revised manuscript is that, for example, once the paper is reviewed by the expert board, I mean expert committee members, they would be taking the decision into maybe in terms of major revision, minor revision, maybe it's not accepted. Okay, these three status will be there in every uh, journal publication. Okay, let's say for example, if it is a major revision, then you have to rework on the full length paper completely, starting from your reference part. Okay, and in case if it is a minor revision, so the author should take the responsibility. You should look into the comments. What is the comment is given by the particular review committee, and then you should look into this comments, and then you should give the corrections very clearly, and you should send back to the editorial board. So then editorial board would take maybe another 2 months, couple of months to review it. Maybe they will be taking a quick review also. Okay, then they'll be giving the final decision whether it is accepted or rejected. Okay, so these two things you should keep in mind when you are responding back to the reviewer feedback. Okay, and now let's understand that what is the publication process is happening. One is that I just told you about peer review process. Okay, always when you are choosing the journal, please try to look into twice when you are submitting the paper into a journal whether this journal follows the peer review process. So I think you might be knowing about what is the double blind review process, what is single blind review process, because the double blind process review, in case if I am in front of your institution, okay, just assume that maybe the people who are sending papers from the particular institution, I may accept it without looking at anything. Okay, so always it's better to send your paper to the double blind review so that the reviewer also won't know that from which institution the paper has been submitted. Okay, and the publication timeline. I think most of the scholars would be wasting their time because of this publication timeline. Let's say, for example, when the scholar is submitting a paper into a journal, that particular journal may take minimum of 8 to 9 months sometimes. So after that, if the result is positive, I think we would be happy. In case if it is getting rejected, then it's a waste of time, and also we need to look for other journals to get published within the stipulated time. So here the publication timeline, you should look into the particular journal, and then you should see that how long the review process would take. So that is also very important. And the post publication promotion. So once the publication is being accepted, is being approved by the respective editorial board, respective journal, maybe you can do publishing on the social media platform so that you will be getting more collaboration, and then you will be able to connect with the people, I think, which enhances the academic community also among the researchers. Okay, so these are the few things I just wanted to talk why the reputed journalists matter. Okay, so I think in the beginning itself, I just told about the importance of publishing your paper in the highly reputed journal. Okay, because now all the state university and private university are looking for this highly reputed journals. Why? Because it's because of the reachability and then visibility of the I mean the researchers. Okay, so always it's been advised to publish in the highly reputed journal so that you will get a lot of exposure for your research, and then you'll be able to connect with people across the world, and then your research work would be reached to the larger audience also. So I think this visibility setup you need to do. How you can do the visibility is that you need to have the collaboration with the other institution also. Okay, and then the second one, the credibility and then impact. Okay, so when what you're getting as outcome when you are publishing your paper in the highly reputed journal, so you are trying to set the benchmark for the institution, as well as you are trying to set the benchmark for yourself in the academic standard. So you are creating the academic identity on your own, and which in turn increases the impact of your research also, so that the researchers would be asking you that for the collaboration, so that you will be taking your research to the next level. So that is why it has been advised by all the institution, colleges, university. Publication is mandatory in the highly reputed journal in Q1, Q2. Okay, and here understanding the publication process. Okay, so let's just understand how the publication process is happening. First phase is that when you submit your research paper to the journal, so the editorial team will review the submission. I think we have talked about the editorial team. So editorial team there will be a set of people who review the paper technically and non-technically, and then they'll be giving the constructive feedback in order to improve the research quality, and they'll be giving you the suggestions to improve it. Okay, so that you should take care of it. And here the journal, and then the final step, what happens is that the journal publish your research paper. Okay, so in whatever the journal, whatever the research paper that you are writing, so it's always better to acknowledge the people who have contributed to your research article. So sometimes what happens that maybe your supervisor, maybe the research scholars might have done the work uh, with the collaboration of other people. So sometimes they may fail to include them in the acknowledgement. Okay, so what is that outcome when the paper is getting published in the journal? Maybe after 6 months, if after a year, if the person who worked with you in a collaboration mode, if they see your paper, so they may take it some legal issue also. Okay, so such kind of things might be happening also. So it's always better to acknowledge the person and acknowledge the agency in case if you have received any fund from the agency also. So this conflict which may create a problem in future also. So that is a reason now every journal is analyzing the research of what is being submitted by the research authors, and then they are analyzing it, and then they are maintaining the list of people who have done the retraction. By now, I think this word has become very popular among the research community, the retraction. Okay, so this, because of this reason only, the retraction is happening. So that we should try to avoid in certain cases. Okay, so I think this understanding the publication process might be clear for you. And how do you select the right journal? The next point, what I be talking about, how do you choose the right journal? The first thing I just told about the scope and aim. That means scope and focus of your journal. Okay, so always when in case if you are beginning in the research work, so always better to choose the domain problem statement which is the need of the hour. Okay, also when you are submitting the paper, you should see that what is the aim and scope of the particular journal. Okay, in case if it is falling under your scope, I mean, which is connected to your domain, the problem statement which you have chosen, then it is good to go. Good to go with the particular journal. In case if the journal is not falling under your domain, is not connecting with your problem statement, it's better to choose some alternative journal to get published. Okay, and the second one is that always it's better to check the highly reputed journal and then impact factor. I just told you about some journals would be claiming that we have a 10.9 point impact factor. So no journals is having this much impact factor. Even if you are trying to publish in IEEE transaction, maybe in IEEE journals, this journals maximum of maybe 4 to 5. So there is a site to check it also. I just share you later. How do you check all these things? Okay. So this reputation and the impact factor of the particular journal is also matter, and submission guidelines. So you should carefully review the journal's guidelines, whatever the guidelines is given by the uh, journal expert members, I mean the journals. Then you should modify the papers according to the standard format, and then you should submit it. Okay, I think for making your, writing your paper formatting also, there is a lot of AI tools also. Maybe I think many of you would be very familiar with the LaTeX tool. Maybe the Springer and all would be expecting this paper should be formatted using the LaTeX tool. So using this LaTeX tool, you can do format your paper, and then you can submit at the journal of anything. Okay, and what is that drafting a compelling paper is that you should have a clear research question. Let's say, for example, when the reviewers are giving a comments, maybe when the reviewer is asking few questions to back to the author, you should have clear understanding about the research question which is raised by the reviewer. So whatever the questions they have asked in the rejection, whatever the questions raised by the reviewer, you should have clear and focused research question. So you should give the proper justification for the same. Okay, and the second point is about rigorous methodology. I think some people would be methodology in simply on their own words, like English written sentences. Okay, so I think that won't be a good sound, that won't be a good methodology when you are writing a methodology part. It should be very careful. I mean, it should be having all the necessary things. Let's say, for example, if it is a computer science related thing, you should write a pseudocode format. In case if it is a social science related, you should have all this methodology in terms of the qualitative data analysis, quantitative data analysis, all these things. So here the data collection methods very important for the arts and humanity related thing, and similarly for other program also. Okay, and you should have the strong argumentation. So what is that strong argumentation? Whether it is a thesis or a research paper, you should have clear and compelling argument that support to your thesis statement. So sometimes, as I told you before, sometimes the reviewer would ask you the question, why this is given like this, maybe why this cannot be modified like this. So you should be very clear in giving such answers. Okay, so because they might be having some critical questions for whatever the questions they are asking, so you should be in the position to answer for everything. So usually just like that you cannot skip the question. So you should have the proper argumentation in submitting the papers as well. Okay, and as I told before, you should adhere to the formatting and then language also. Even sometimes I think now, let's say for example, except the Tamil literature, maybe the people from English and other discipline, the scholars, maybe academicians, would be writing the language in English only. But the English language is universally accepted, but you cannot write the formal English how we are talking now. Okay, it should be very technical, and it should be very what is it? It should ensure the clarity of writing the contents in the paper. So that should be ensured before you submit all these things. Okay, and peer review and revision. So once the feedback is given by the reviewer, you should make the revision and then you should resubmit it. Okay, and then the next thing, you'll be promoting your research work into all these things. One is into the social media. I think everybody has all the academic related credentials, including your Google Scholar, including your Archid ID, your Scopus ID, your Scopus database, Clarivate. So all these things you should publish. Even I think many of us would have been using the LinkedIn page also. So it's always better to publish your, advertise your published papers on the social media, and then you can do some conference presentation, and you will be able to create some academic community among the researchers. Okay, so, and what are the key takeaways through this session? I think most of the things I have talked too much. So what are the key takeaways through this session is that whenever you are choosing a journal, always it's better to choose the journal very wisely. So just twice you please look into the journal, whether the journal is highly reputed journal or it's a predatory journal. And you should draft the manuscript very carefully, meticulously, and then you should promote it to the effective manner. Okay, so I think I'm done with this. Maybe I just show you one way of checking your article, whether it is the originality of the review. I mean, the journal's articles. Okay, so I just share one Springer link thing. Let's say, for example, if the, I hope it's clear, the screen, the browser page. Can I get the confirmation from
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, let's say for example, if I would like to publish a paper in the Springer journals. Okay, so I think every journals will be having this search bar kind of things, as you can see here. Okay, so here, let's say for example, now the researcher is new into the research community, so they don't know what journal is available for their respective domain and what journal is available for their respective problem statement. So since I have been working on the drone technology, okay, so I just wanted to know that what are the journals are available related to this. Okay, so you can see that there are few journals which are related to this artificial intelligence, controlled robotics, automation, all these things. Okay, also you can see this whether this journal impact factor of all these things, whether this journal impact factor, I mean, whether the journal is having impact factor or not. Okay, so you can also see some of the journal would be giving the first decision within 8 days. Okay. So also you can check all these things in the Clarivate analytics also, where you can check whether this journal is cloned or not also. I think you might be knowing this, right? MJL Clarivate Analytics. So if you go there, the search journals, you can see. Maybe every journal will be having the ISSN number. Maybe with the title also you can search it. So it is better, always better to check that whether it is falling under this particular database or not. So there are many ways to check it also. Maybe you can check it in the Scopus database also. Maybe you can download it as a Excel file and then you can check it, cross check once, and then you can do publish a paper also. So I think I'm done with this. Thank you so much for your patient listening for the last 55 minutes. If you have any questions, maybe I'm ready to take them up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Participant, if you have any questions, please do raise. Participant, those who are linked with us in YouTube, you can post it in the chat box so that I can say it here.
So, participants, if you don't have questions, please turn on your camera. Sir, you also please turn on your camera.
Yeah.
Let's have a group photo for the end of the session.
Okay. Thank you. Fine. Should I say cheese, sir? Please let me know in case if while you taking photo.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Participant, if
Thank
you
you.
have any question, please you can clarify. He is an expert in all these things. So don't miss your chance to ask your questions. So I do have a lot of questions. Can I, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Of
Okay,
course.
sir. As I'm in a beginning stage of research and everything, so what tips can you give for a beginner, sir? Because all those things, journal and everything, is a very too far thing for me.
Okay.
I'm
Ma'am,
just
you are
in a,
from which discipline? I
I'm
may
from
know that you are.
management, sir.
Oh, you are from management. Okay. Ma'am, it's always better to do pilot study on your domain. Okay. So
Okay.
maybe since you are from management department, I'm not much into it, but I just give you some tips how you go for the next level of doing a research.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So always it's better to do a pilot study based on the survey papers whichever is being published in the existing. Okay. In case if you have chosen your domain into marketing, maybe into HR, so you please select the papers only related to this particular thing. Okay. May I
Okay.
know, ma'am, what is the domain that you have opted for your research work? Whether it is a
HR, sir.
marketing,
HR.
network,
Yeah, no, HR, sir. AI in
HR.
HR.
Okay. So you just download papers which are related to HR. It's also you please do not look into the concept papers directly. So you may not understand anything. So it's better to study some survey paper, and so that you can get some understanding about it, how you can go for the next level, because you need
Survey
to
paper,
train your.
how I can find those survey papers, sir?
Maybe you know about the scholar.google.com, ma'am,
Yes, sir.
right? So through which also you'll be able to get. I think in case if your institution has the license, maybe you can download the papers from the highly reputed journals also.
Okay.
Maybe I think you will be calling it as ADPC journal, right?
Yes,
Something
sir.
like ABTC, something Australian Business Dean Council, probably. Okay, so I think in case if your institution has this license, download the papers easily. You can get it, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Otherwise, in case if you are not able to find out papers also, you can take the link, whatever the link that you are going through for the respective domain and the research article. Maybe you can forward to the other institution, such premium institutions such as NIT, IIT, like this. Because we
Okay,
don't
sir.
have provision for all the things. Otherwise, I would have helped you a lot. We have provision in certain things. Maybe we can download some Elsevier paper. We can download some Springer related papers also.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. So maybe any other question that you can see in the YouTube channel, ma'am. Maybe I'm ready to answer for that question also.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, my mail ID I'll share in the chat. Maybe in case if you have any clarification, you can.
Okay, sir. Okay, so vote of thanks. Good afternoon, esteemed dignitaries, distinguished guests, our respected faculty members. It's my distinct honor and privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this memorable occasion, the conclusion day of our faculty development program titled Research Papers Drafting and Refinement. First and foremost, on behalf of St. Joseph College Arts and Science and from the Department of Corporate Secretaryship, I would like to express the deepest gratitude to all the participants who have joined till date. Thank you all, and also thank all our resource persons who have joined us for the past 4 days. We are immensely grateful to our principal sir and admin sister for the constant support, guidance, and encouragement, without which this program would not have been possible. Their leadership has been a source of inspiration for the entire organizing committee. A special mention goes to our head of the department for his unwavering support and meticulous planning in making this FDP a resounding sound success. Thanks to our today's resource person, Mr. Dr. Nimson Neo Robert, sir. Sir, thank you for your thoughtful information today. It has helped to gain knowledge about your topic. We thank you once again, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for having invited me also.
Though the
Thank
time
you.
limit is short for you because, as you said earlier,
Yeah, but
yesterday only
there
you
is a lot of things to speak. Even if you allow me to speak for continuously 2 hours, I'll be talking. Anyway,
very
thank you
thank you
so much.
so much, sir, for joining today. I also extend my heartfelt appreciation to the entire organizing team, the technical support staff, and all the volunteers. And special mention to Haris sir. It's been so grateful to her in supporting all this occasion. Last but not least, my sincere thanks all to the participants from various colleges and institutions for your genuine interest, active participation, and positive interaction throughout the program. Your enthusiasm has made this event truly memorable, impactful. As we conclude this FDP, I'm confident that the knowledge and skills we acquired will go a long way in enhancing our teaching, research, and pursuits. Once again, I thank you all your coordinate cooperation presence. We look forward to your future collaborations. Participants, as I said earlier, your participation certificate will receive in another 1 week. Thank you so much. We'll meet in next FDP. Thank you all and take care. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Thank you, sir. I'm signing off. Thank you.